Morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Monday. It's the fourth day of December 2023. I hope you're all safe and healthy and that you enjoyed your weekend this past weekend. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, along with the first responders who every day are out here trying to save lives. And those also that pick up garbage for us to keep our streets and our cities clean and disease free. And those also that make deliveries of things that are important to us for our convenience. Double blessings upon the men and women out here trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover teenagers and children who are the unfortunate victims of child molestation and pedophilia. Those who also are victims of pornography and child pornography, prostitution, child prostitution, human trafficking, and sex slavery. Double curses upon the men and women who are the the ones participating in these things, especially those that are forcing participation, those also who are the profiteers of these things, and the perverts that create the industry for these things. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. There are nearly 600,000 men, women, and children homeless in the United States of America and millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. Tonight, there's going to be some basketball games played. Now we're at the part of the season where the standings are beginning to be relevant. Earlier they're not really relevant because people start off hot, some people start off cold. But at the end, you get to the 20th game, teams are starting to get into their flow, get into their groove, and set for the season. There's still a lot of movement that will be happening this year, like especially like there's a couple of tests. For example, coming up this week, the Orlando Magic are going to be playing Cleveland in Cleveland. That is an interesting game, put it that way. Too early in the season to call wins must wins or teams, must win teams, must win games and all that. But the Cleveland game is going to be important because Orlando is now 14-6. Orlando at 14-6 at this point is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, they're either second or third. They're second in the conference, tied for second with the Bucks in the Eastern Conference. Major leap from last year. Now we knew, like I said, I had said last year that I thought Paolo Banchero was going to be a difference maker. That team was coming together, and this is why you have the lottery system the way you have it. You're hoping to get some pieces that will eventually turn into something. And so the Magic have been slowly building up. Jamal Mosley been doing a great job over there. And they've gotten a couple of pieces. One of the surprise pieces was Franz Wagner. Didn't expect him to be as good as he is, but he is good. And then you get a jewel like a Paolo Banchero, a game changer, 6'10" power forward, can play both ends, can handle the basketball, can shoot the basketball, burgeoning superstar in the future, Paolo Banchero. And now you have Orlando at 14-6. The Cleveland game, if they win that game in Cleveland, I have to start believing that this is more than just a fast start. You see, the NBA season is more like the tortoise against the rabbit. It's a grind. It's not a sprint. And so there's some teams that sprint out fast that are going to end up running out of gas. If Orlando beats Cleveland in Cleveland, and right now Cleveland is 11-9, I have to say they're for real. Okay, I have to start saying they're for real. Start looking at them as a real threat, as a top 6 threat in the East. Again, young teams like Orlando, they go through processes, and I mentioned that with Detroit last week. The first process is to learn how to play NBA level defense. The second process is to be able to execute down a stretch of games. Talent alone in the NBA won't win, but it will help you make runs. And every NBA team, because of the level of talent in the league, will make a run every game. But if you complete the run, determines if you can execute down the stretch. And then, of course, the next iteration after those two, first you learn how to play NBA level defense, then you learn how to execute down the stretch, then you learn how to play playoff basketball. And that's a whole nother learning set, which is why, when you see the Knicks go to the playoffs in Tom Thibodeau's first year, losing the first round. You see them take a step back because of some changes they made that they shouldn't have made, with namely starting Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier in your backcourt. And then you see them make a leap forward last year into the second round. This is learning how to play playoff basketball, which is a whole different level than regular season basketball. And so the Knicks are at that stage right now. So right now, the Knicks are tied for fourth in the Eastern Conference. They can finish no worse than 20-8 in the first 20 games of the year. And so, as I said earlier, Tom Thibodeau's team, a defensive-oriented team, starts a little slower like Miami does, and they'll usually start picking up later. Now, the difference is, usually I'll say 30 games into the season. I said 20 this year only because of the continuity of the team, because they mostly, with the exception of Dante DiVincenzo, all the other guys were here last year, and many of them, like your Juliuses, your Mitchell Robinsons, your RJ Barretts, and they were here 3 or 4 years. So now they're all starting to get used to each other, know each other, and that continuity is a very big thing in the NBA, especially when you're going through the steps I just mentioned. So right now, the Knicks can finish no worse than 12-8, and I'm giving them a 50% chance of beating Milwaukee tomorrow. We'll talk more about that, but I give them 50-50 tomorrow, which, may not sound like much, but you're talking about the Milwaukee Bucks, a team that's picked by many to represent the East in the finals because of the addition of Dame Dollar. I don't think they will, but that's what the hype is about them. I still do not believe that they have enough defense in the backcourt for the long term. Malik Beasley is playing, from I consider, his best basketball of his career. I don't think that's any coincidence that he's joined. That comes with him being on a team with Giannis. Okay, Giannis, and then Lopez also is surprising me at age 35. Brook Lopez, when Brook Lopez came into the NBA out of Stanford, he was more of the offensive threat of the Twins. His brother Robin was more of a defensive guy, and Brook was considered an offensive player, somebody that can score. And even then, he wasn't a three-point shooter. He was on the Nets. He wasn't a three-point shooter at that time. He was more of a low post player, and a high IQ player. Could pass out of the post, can do a lot of things. And defense, he was pretty good, but he wasn't considered the way he is now. What he has done is amazing, because what Brook Lopez has done is Brook Lopez, like Robin and Brook. But what Brook Lopez has done is he has reinvented himself. He's become a three-point shooter. And he's 35, going to be 36 in April. He become a three-point shooter. He's become a defensive player. He was two-time All-NBA defense. So, and this is later in his career. And so at age 35, I expected him to slow down. He has not. He's reinvented himself, become a high-level defender as two-time All-Defense, and a great shooter at 7'1", a great shooter, a spot-up shooter that really doesn't miss much from three-point range, when he's wide open. If you put some pressure on him, yes, he will miss, and he doesn't force a lot of bad shots. But if he's wide open, I don't know the numbers of him being wide open spot up, but he's very deadly from that. So that has helped Milwaukee be who they are. Chris Middleton, as I mentioned earlier in the preseason, that he's the key here. They need him to be Chris Middleton, top level player. His knee would be the problem, and he started off playing limited minutes, and I think still see him struggling with that knee. When he is on, they're going to be very tough to beat. I just don't believe he's going to be able to sustain that for the 82-game season in the playoffs, and I don't believe they have enough defense, for the 82-game season and the playoffs to make a difference. Dame Dollar is unguardable. He is. He's just simply unguardable even right now, but at the same time, he can't guard his shadow. So that's a problem. That's why they need Malik Beasley, and that's why they're doing well, because Lopez and Beasley are playing at a very high level. So we'll talk more about that tomorrow. But before I continue, I want to just also make sure I mention this. I don't know, maybe because, I'm fortunate. I have almost 10,000 subscribers, so not everybody hears everything. But let me just be very clear. Please do not come to me asking me about trade ideas. I think I've been pretty consistent. I don't want any trades right now. I'm not interested in any player right now. I'm interested in letting the Knicks play this team right here. Don't add anybody, don't subtract anybody. Just let them play. I'm interested in seeing how far they can go this year. Okay? And I don't want to make any predictions, something where you can't win a chip with them. I don't want to say that's if you have that opinion, that's your business. But I don't want to say, I don't put a cap on what they can or can't do. That's what this year is about. It's about finding out how far they can go. Could they get to the second round? Could they get to the Eastern Conference Final? Will they lose in the first round? I don't know. And I want to give these guys a chance because this, what we're seeing now, you've seen now Mitchell Robinson come to a new level. This is what development is about. He come to a new level now. He's an all defensive level player right now. Defensive Player of the Year candidate right now. One of the best fives in the league in terms of defense. And he's one of those players that don't have to score a point and can control a game and win a game. So that's what we're seeing here. R.J. Barrett has finally, but I can't really say, his is fifth year, but he's only 23. He's turned that corner, made that step, okay? And he's going to get better as the year go on. So you have that. You have Julius Randle, who is willing to take a back seat to R.J. and let him be the secondary scorer. You finally have the all-world point guard we've all been looking for in Jalen Brunson, okay? And so you got these guys. Plus now you got Emmanuel Quickly. You still got a Josh Hart. You now added a Dante DiVincenzo. You got a Quentin Grimes who's still in the process of developing. I want to see what this team does. So please, if you want to talk about NBA 2K trades, you want to talk about all the rumors that are going to continue to come, because this is the New York, you all understand is that they look this catnip to the Knicks nation, so they all bring it out, all of these big platforms. I don't want to talk about it. You might get mad at me because I might be disrespectful because it's frustrating. To me, it's demeaning. And I don't want to talk about anybody. I don't want to hear about who's available. I don't care about new signings. Okay, I'm only looking at this team right now because we waited 4 years. This is the fourth season to get to this point. And I want to see what they got before we start talking about we need this or we need that. In my view, we don't need anything. We just need to let these kids play. Okay. And some of us have been looking for this for the last 3 years since Thibodeau came in. Before that, get some kids, let them play. Well, we're here. And I just wanted to let the process go. Let it continue and see where they can take us. Like I said, they lose in the first round, fine. They go to the Eastern Conference Finals, we'll see. But let's see. Let's let it happen. And let's let it happen and see what happens before we start making any changes. So let me just say this again. If you are looking at my channel and you want to know about a trade or free agent, I'm not interested in talking about it. I don't want to discuss that until the summer, because then we'll have an idea where these kids took us. Okay. And maybe then we could talk about what we need. But right now, I'm not interested in talking about it. I'm only interested in this current team and how far they can go. Speaking of that, like I mentioned, RJ turned the corner. Mitch Robinson turned the corner. You get a Jalen Brunson. You got an IQ playing at a high level. Now you added a DiVincenzo. You added a Josh Hart. And those of you still tripping and griping about lack of size at the backup four, stop it. The Knicks are one of the leading rebounding teams in the league. Lack of size would only matter if they were getting beat on the boards every night. They're not. So can we please end that stupidity, please? They're not getting beat. Josh Hart's doing a great job. They're actually winning. They're 12-7 right now, with a good chance to go 13-7 and no worse than 12-8. So let's get off that stuff. Like I said, life is short. I don't have time to waste with BS. Let's move forward. Okay. So right now I'm not interested in any trades. I want to see what they could do. I like the team we got. I want to see them continue to gel. And that's what they're doing right now. And they're not even fully gelled yet. I want to give them another 10 games. I want to give them December, actually, because to be quite honest with you, it's a tough schedule. The Knicks have one of the toughest early season schedule in the league right now, with 5 back-to-backs already and 3 more to go. So 3 more to go in December, 2 or 3 more in December, and then 3 more in January. So I want to see how they come out this minefield. It's a good test for our kids. I want to see how they come out this minefield. I really believe they're going to do pretty good. And when they come out of this, come January, come All-Star break, I think they're going to be tough. Especially if they don't suffer any major injuries. They're going to be tough. Okay, the Knicks are going to be a tough team to play, and nobody wants to deal with them. I think Jalen Brunson is shocking a lot of people. I was shocked last year. You know, I wasn't expecting last year to be what he did. But now, the way I'm looking at him now is this is a guy that's always had people doubting him. Beware of the players that have something chip on their shoulder and got something to prove, man. Especially when at every level he's won chips, and now he's, at first I was like 80 million. No, 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 no. And then I saw him in the playoffs and said, okay, I could see the Knicks acquiring him. And in fact, at that point, when Dallas was in the playoffs and he was going off, I knew the Knicks were going to get him then, because if you recall, the big executives were at the Dallas games and causing all kind of ruckus just because they was there looking at Jalen Brunson, having already signed his dad as an assistant coach. So you knew you were going to get him. But I was like, Dad, I wanted to see what Quickly could do at the time. And then, this guy Brunson's going to just come in, they're going to give him the ball. But look, it's worked out. It's in spades. So, yeah. The Knicks got one right here. And then you add the other players, like I said, that have your Mitch Robs and your RJs that have turned the corner and now going on the upside of their careers, not having reached their primes yet. But you can clearly see they're strongly headed in that direction. Okay? This is a year I want to see what happens. Especially, we don't know what's going to happen with IQ. I think he's worth $25 million a year. I don't think it's anything the Knicks need to think about. Sign the man, and let's see what happens next summer. Whoever offers him what, I think he's going to get something in the $25 million range from somebody. Somebody's going to offer that to him next year. Just match it. Forget it. Match it. We'll deal with the numbers later. Match it. Okay. But if we lose him, then we have to make other arrangements. There's Deuce. There's Dante. You got other things back there, but while we got him this year, let's see what we could do. Let's see what we could do. So yeah, tonight you got important games. Like I said, tonight's games you got. Let me see here. In the tournament, you got Boston against Indiana. Now this is a big game. It's at Indiana. Obi's been playing really good, y'all. I don't know if y'all been watching them, but I've been following Indiana this year. Halliburton is Brunson for Indiana, okay? He's that dude. And then Obi's been playing really good. He took him some time. He's still getting comfortable being an Indiana Pacer and a starting power forward on an NBA team. But as the games go by, he's getting more comfortable. And like I said, I was very surprised and pleasantly surprised that the coach, Rick Carlisle, had him guarding Jimmy Butler down the stretch when they beat Miami last week, because Obi's playing high-level defense. And so this is going to be a good test for them as Boston comes into town playing. And then, of course, tomorrow night, as we mentioned, New York is going to be at Milwaukee. Very big game. And then, of course, you got the other two games in the Western Conference don't mean nothing to me, but they're entertaining for basketball fans. I mean, you get Sacramento against New Orleans, and then Phoenix against the Lakers. It's just entertainment. That's a box office type games. But for the Knicks, yeah, the Boston-Indiana game. And not only that, because of Indiana and Boston's positioning in the standings right now. Now, Indiana right now is 6th seed, 10-8. They're a game and a half behind the Knicks. Well, the Knicks and Philly, who are tied for the 4th seed. A loss tonight, would make them 10-9, drop them below the Heat. A win tonight keeps them in the running. They'd be 11-8. Boston, if they lost tonight, they'd be 15-6. The Knicks would pick up a half game on them. Okay, this is gonna be a grind. It's gonna be a grind all season. I told you, you're gonna see jockeying for position, but what we're seeing right now, to me, is a picture that's pretty much going to stay. Like, you're going to see the top 6: Boston, Orlando, Milwaukee, Philly, New York, Indiana. 7 is Miami, and Cleveland is 8. You're going to see that continue all season. Everybody's going to be jockeying for position. The only question mark, as I mentioned, is Orlando, and they will answer a lot of my questions if they beat Cleveland in Cleveland later this week. That would be to me, and I don't know if anybody else was, but as I'm looking at Orlando and their development, that would be a statement win. Okay, if they can beat Cleveland in Cleveland this week. So I want to see how they perform because everybody's got rest now. Everybody's been rested because of this tournament. So now let's see how they do with rest coming into Cleveland against a rested Cleveland team, because then we'll know if Orlando's for real. Okay, if Orlando is for real, then that means they've taken 2 steps. They've gotten past understanding how to play NBA level defense, and Paolo Banchero is way ahead of us. He's got no business being this good this early. He really is a rarity. I'm very high on him, and so that being the case, that's vaulting the whole team up. The next thing would be executing down the stretch, and for them to be 14-6, if they beat Cleveland in Cleveland, that would show they're on that point. Then, of course, they got to get into the playoffs, which if they're for real, they will, and be battling. So that's just another opponent for our Knicks. Other than that, the other teams, you're going to see all of the rest of these teams, like I mentioned, Boston, Bucks, Philly, Knicks, Indiana, the Heat, and Cavaliers, they're going to be jockeying for position for the rest of the season. Okay? And I'm very confident in our Knicks finishing in the top 6 with the strong possibility of them finishing where they are right now in the top 4. You all enjoy your Monday. Let's enjoy some basketball. Let's enjoy the NBA season and our Knicks. Be safe out there. Shalom.